Custom paint jobs are a great way to express yourself in the truck sim games, but they can be a bit tricky to make. In this video, I'll demonstrate an easy way to make a paint job mod using my program Paint Job Packer. I'll show you how to generate a mod's files, how to use templates to make a paint job, and then how to upload it to Steam Workshop. At the end, I'll also show you how to combine multiple paint job mods into a single mod, and explain how a mod's files work. There are timecodes in the description, and chapters on the video if you'd like to jump to a specific section. A few notes before we get started. This video only covers basic paint job mods, not metallic paint jobs or changeable colours. It also doesn't cover using other great tools like Mod Studio or Benzizi modding. For this tutorial, you'll need two programs. Firstly, Paint Job Packer, which you can download from the link in the description. You'll also need an image editor that can save DTS files. I'll be using Photoshop with a DTS plugin linked in the description, but you could also use free programs like GIMP, Paint.net, or DXT-BMP. When you go to download Paint Job Packer, there are three options to choose from. The first two only support Windows, while the source code also supports macOS and Linux, though they haven't been tested. The installer is a bigger initial download, but it gives you the option of installing ready-made 4K templates. The portable app is smaller, but it takes a few seconds to open and doesn't include templates. The source code will run on anything, but it doesn't include templates and you'll need Python installed to use it. It can be launched by opening packer.py using Python 3. To begin making a mod, choose your game, and whether you're making a single paint job or a pack supporting multiple vehicles. On the next screen, enter some information about your paint job. This info will appear in the mod manager, and this info will appear in-game. You can click the question mark button next to any of the fields for more details. Then choose an internal name for your paint job, which will be used by the game to keep track of your mod behind the scenes. It needs to be 12 characters or fewer and contain only letters, numbers, and underscores. It also needs to be unique, as two mods with the same internal name will be incompatible with each other. Then choose which cabins to support. Largest cabin only means your paint job will only be available on the largest cabin of each truck. If you change to all cabins, you'll get another option. A combined paint job covers every cabin with a single texture, while separate paint jobs support each cabin individually. Note that if you choose separate paint jobs, your internal name can only be 10 characters long, not 12. Then select all the vehicles you'd like to support. A paint job pack can support as many as you'd like in a single mod. You can click here to get download links for supported truck and trailer mods. If you're making a single paint job instead of a pack, choose your vehicle using the drop-downs. Then click Generate and Save. Tick this box if you're going to upload your mod to Steam Workshop later. Note that the Workshop uploader only supports Windows. Tick this box if you installed templates and you'd like to use them. If they're not installed, this will have no effect. By default, Paint Job Packer saves your mod to your desktop. Click here to change that. Then click Generate, and your mod will be generated in your chosen directory. To make your mod, you'll need to edit the main texture files, located in the vehicle folder, the icon, located in the material folder, and the mod manager image and description, located in the base folder. I'll start with the main files. Before you start editing anything, you can move your mod to your game's mod folder to test things as you make them. The location is different depending on your operating system. If there's no mod folder here already, just make it yourself. Then move this folder, the one with your mod's name, inside it. I also pin it to quick access to make things easier. Launch the game and activate your mod from the mod manager. I recommend using a separate profile just for testing mods. Now we'll start by editing the main vehicle files. Inside a vehicles folder, you'll find a bunch of files. You only need to edit the DTS files. You can ignore the TOBJs. Depending on the vehicle and the settings you chose, there will be one or more cabin files. These are the main files of your paint job. Trailers and most trucks will also have a bunch of accessory files. These cover individual parts. Open up a DDS to start editing it. You can resize it to make a template higher or lower res, and if you didn't install the templates, every file will be 16 by 16 pixels, so you'll definitely want to make them bigger. Just make sure that your width and height are powers of 2, such as the numbers shown on screen. This is a limitation of the DDS format, and if you choose a different number, you might run into issues. SCS paint jobs at 2K, and I usually make paint jobs at 4K. If you didn't install the placeholder templates, you can download my template packs separately using the links in the description. They contain complete, high-res templates for both games in both PNG and PSD formats. I'll be using the PSD files from my template packs in this video. Make your design using the program of your choice. I like to leave the template layer on top and work underneath it, so I can always see it. If you need help using a certain program, check the web for tutorials. Remember that making paint jobs is an iterative process. You don't need to get your design perfect the first time round. When you're happy with your first version and you'd like to test it, save it as a DDS. In Photoshop, save as DDS with DXT5 format, mipmaps, and no alpha. In GIMP, export as DDS image with BC3 DXT5 and generate mipmaps. In Paint.net, save as DDS with BC3 DXT5 and generate mipmaps. In DXTBMP, save as DDS texture with DXT5. Then hop in-game to test your paint job. You can open the vehicle browser, choose the right vehicle, and choose your paint job. To make a tweak, just Alt-Tab back to your image editor, leaving the game open in the background. Make a change, save again, and to update the paint job in-game, switch to a different one and back to yours. Using this technique, you can easily tweak and test your paint job to make it pixel perfect without constantly relaunching the game. Note that this won't work if you've bought your paint job on your vehicle or any of your own vehicles, so wait until you've finished before buying it in-game. Now go through and edit each file of each vehicle in your pack. Since you can easily test changes in-game, you can take your time and enjoy yourself. You don't have to worry about getting it perfect on your first go. You don't need templates for every part either. If you'd like to make one a solid colour, especially smaller parts like bumpers and mirrors, just colour the entire image in. Once they're all finished, you only have a handful of other files you'll need to edit in order to finish your mod. First up, make a paint job icon using the placeholder in the material folder. You cannot resize this image. It needs to stay at 256 by 64 pixels. The placeholder file that Paint Job Packer generates contains an alpha channel, meaning only this rounded rectangle will be visible in-game. If you stick to this shape, your icon will fit in with the other default paint job icons, but you can make yours bigger if you'd like. When you're finished, save as DDS. This time with alpha, and tick pre-multiply. To see your new icon in-game, you'll need to exit out to the profile screen, then load back in. Next, you can make your mod manager image, using the placeholder in your mod's base folder. You also cannot resize this image. It needs to stay at 276 by 162 pixels. Make your image, and save it as a JPEG. Finally, edit your mod's description. By default, this contains a list of every vehicle supported by your mod. Save it as a text file. At this point, your mod is complete and ready to use or share. You can zip up all of the files using a program like 7-zip, or by right-clicking and sending to a compressed folder. Make sure that you're zipping all of the files, not the mod folder itself. This zip can now be uploaded to websites like ShareMods, but if you'd like to upload it to Steam Workshop, there are a few more steps first. Rename it to universal.zip and move it to the Workshop uploading folder that PaintJob Packer generated. This folder should now contain your zip and a versions file. You also now need to make a workshop image using the placeholder in the PaintJob Packer output folder. You cannot resize this image either. It needs to stay at 640 by 360 pixels. Make your image and save it as a JPEG. You can save it anywhere you like. This image will represent your mod when browsing the workshop. Now to upload your mod, you'll need the SCS Workshop Uploader tool. You can download the uploader if you own either trucksim game on Steam. Go to your library, then click View, Hidden Games. In this drop-down, tick Tools, then scroll down to the SCS Workshop Uploader. Right-click, Install, and right-click, Manage, Remove from Hidden, so you can find it again later. To return to normal, click Show All Collections. Once the uploader is open, select your game and let it load. Leave this drop-down as New, then for the mod folder, select the Workshop Uploading folder. For the preview image, select the workshop image you just made. Enter a mod name, and change the visibility if you wish. You can change this later, so I usually leave it as private. Now enter a description. PaintJob Packer automatically generates the start of a workshop description for you, with a list of all of the vehicles supported in your mod, including links to any truck or trailer mods you support. If you'd like to use it, you can find it in the How to Upload Your Mod to Steam Workshop text file. Your description needs to be at least 50 characters long, so describe your mod in a little detail. Then under Tags, select Truck Parts, scroll down on the left, and tick Paint Jobs. On the right, select all of the brands covered by your mod. You can also add a change note if you wish. I use this for my version 1s. Now click Upload. Your mod should now be up on Steam Workshop, ready for use. To see it, go to your profile, then click Workshop Items. You can add screenshots here, or change the visibility down here. That concludes the video. Thanks for watching. I hope it was useful. If you need a hand, drop a comment here or on the SCS forums, and I or someone else will be happy to help. I'll now show you how to combine multiple mods and explain what all of a mod's files do. If you'd like to make a mod that features multiple different paint jobs for each vehicle, maybe for a company with more than one livery, you can combine multiple mods into one. First, make each mod as usual. Edit all of the main files, accessory files, and make a paint job icon. Then simply drag the def, material, and vehicle folders from one mod into the other. Windows should handle the merging without an issue, and there shouldn't be any files overwritten. Remember that every paint job in a mod must have a unique internal name, so you can't combine multiple mods that use the same internal name. For mods generated by PaintJob Packer, the in-game name must be unique as well. Then make your mod manager image and description, and zip or upload your mod as usual. Now I'll give you a quick rundown on all of the files you'll find in a PaintJob mod. You don't need to know any of this to make or use mods, but you might find it interesting if you were curious about what each file does. I'll be explaining the files as I understand them from making PaintJob mods since 2014. I might miss some info or get something wrong, but I'll try my best. Note that other kinds of mods like maps, trucks, or sounds will have different file types, like models, animations, and sound effects. I won't be covering those. First off, the def folder contains definitions for your paint job. If you drill down to a vehicle folder, you'll find a handful of SII files, one for each paint job. If you chose separate paint jobs, there'll be one for each cabin, and if not, there'll be a single file. These are text files which identify your paint job, including its internal name, which vehicle it's made for, which cabin it supports, and the location of the corresponding TOBJ file, which I'll cover in a sec. You can also see that it links to a settings SUI file. This is similar to an SII file, and contains your paint job's in-game name, price, unlock level, and the name of its icon. Airbrush refers to a simple paint job. This will be false for paint jobs with changeable colours. Some vehicles will also have alternate UV set listed. This tells the game to use a different UV map for that vehicle, meaning that the paint job will be arranged differently. Paint Job Packer automatically enables this setting on certain vehicles, as some of them will mirror your design without it, meaning any text or logos will be reversed on one side. My template pack is designed the same way. Trailers and most trucks will also have an accessory folder with another SII file for each paint job. This tells the game where each accessory texture can be found by pointing to a TOBJ, and also lists every truck part covered by each accessory. Paint Job Packer organizes every truck part into accessory groups based on how you'd normally make a paint job. Similar parts that you'd only recolor, not add logos to, such as bumpers, are grouped together and covered by a single texture. Parts with different shapes that you might want to add logos to, like side skirts, are usually split up. Before we move on, I'll take a second to explain how the game reads textures. Textures in many games, including trucksim, are stored in a special file format called a direct draw surface, or DDS. The game doesn't read these directly, but instead uses another file called a texture object, or TOBJ. The TOBJ contains a number of settings the game uses to read the image, as well as a path to the corresponding DDS file. If you ever want to change this path, maybe to point multiple TOBJs to a single DDS, you should also note that the length of the file path, in hex, is stored as a byte here. UI textures, like buttons and icons, also have a third file, sitting in between the game and the TOBJ, called a material or mat file. This is a text file that simply points to a TOBJ. Putting everything together, we can see that the game reads an SII file to define a paint job. This points to a TOBJ, which in turn points to a DDS, which contains our texture. For UI textures, there's an extra step involving a mat file. Now that you understand mat, TOBJ, and DDS files, the material and vehicle folders are self-explanatory. The material folder contains the paint job icon, with a mat file because it's a UI texture. The vehicle folder contains all of the paint job textures, with TOBJs pointing to DDSs. There are files for each cabin and accessory. Paint Job Packer makes an extra file for each trailer called base color, which colors any parts not covered by the accessories. Depending on the trailer, this could include the chassis, the axles, or nothing at all. The last few files in a paint job mod tell the game how to handle the mod as a whole. The manifest contains the version, author, and the category of the mod, which are all shown in the mod manager. It also points to the mod manager image and description. These are a simple JPEG image and text file, respectively. If you're uploading a mod to the workshop, the other file you'll run into is a versions SII file. This points the game to the correct zip or folder for each corresponding version of the game. Since paint job mods never need to be updated, Paint Job Packer uses the universal version here, and the zip is called universal.zip, as listed here. More complicated mods, like trucks or maps, will have different sets of files for each version, which is essential as some updates break a lot of mods, such as the sound system overhaul in 1.38 and the lighting overhaul in 1.40. At this point, you should be well versed in making paint job mods, and you can understand what each file in a mod does. I hope this video was helpful, and I encourage you to put what you've learned to use by making a mod or two. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.